Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to KT Garage. In this special episode, I'm going to talk about Humvees. The Humvees that you actually buy from the government auction from Golf Planet, or you probably buy from another person that purchased from Golf Planet auction. I'm going to talk about what issues are with these trucks. I want you to know and aware about it before you go and buy one, because it could be a lot of work for you and you end up having to sell it, and nobody's going to want to buy it because they already realize what the problems are. So what you see back here is actually not a Humvee. Has all Humvee features except for the body, because I bought the military Humvee to take the body out to build a special project. We're not here to talk about this project. We're going to talk about the Humvees and what the issues are. In the process of building this truck, I had to learn it the hard way on everything about Humvees. I get to know all the details. I need to learn about it because I need to build one that are what I really wanted to do. So the first thing first, the paint. The Humvee paints are extremely toxic, and the government used this paint for their purpose for chemical welfare, and it is designed to resist chemicals and all that good stuff when they're in the battlefield. Now, for you to work on these trucks, if you end up having to repaint the car and you sand it down, make sure you wear a mask and make sure that you properly dispose the paint, because it's very toxic and it could cause cancer. They say that there's no concrete proof, but there's evidence of it causing cancer. So just make sure that you are aware of the problem with the paint. Even just a little flake, you're supposed to properly dispose it. So that's the first thing that I get to learn about reworking these Humvees, and I wasn't so excited about it, so I was very careful, and it took me a bunch of time to get that right. So after I took the body out, the next thing I noticed is that this truck, when I bought it, it has very little miles. It only has like probably 2,000 miles or something altogether. It's a 1994 M998. This truck has so much dirt underneath. You would think that a couple of thousand miles is not going to be that bad, but actually all the components are full of dirt, and they probably had it on the desert or something like that, where they never cleaned these things. Everything is corroded down there. It's very difficult to work with. So I ended up having to tear the whole truck apart, try to rebuild it from the ground up. I have over 50 episodes on this truck on my channel that you can check it out. I believe the second episode is where I torn up the entire truck to rebuild it from scratch, or from the ground up. So after that, I get to learn how the truck works, and starting to put it back together in a different body, because I want to be creative and design a different body for it. The next thing that I was looking for was the fuse box, because when I torn the electrical system apart, I was specifically looking for the fuse box, couldn't find it. So here's your second knowledge about Humvee. Humvee does not have a fuse box. It only has circuit breaker. And this circuit breaker is designed to, of course, break the circuit and shut up the power when there's overloads. And the reason for that is that when you're in the battlefield, you don't want to go replace fuses. You don't have time for that. So these circuit breakers, they trip, and then I believe this automatically reconnects when the circuit is no longer have a problem. It hasn't happened to me yet, so I don't know if that's the case or not, but there's only 2 circuit breakers in the entire truck. Now, there's some high power cables and things, has no circuit breaker, and there's no fuse. So if you ended up having cross wire or something like that, the truck is going to be on fire. There's no way to stop it, because there's no fuses, there's no fuse box. So that's another thing that some of you might not be aware, and looking for fuse box, you're not going to find it. Third issue is the engine, of course, and we all know that the 6.2 and the 6.5 diesel, Detroit diesel back in the day, putting out 100 and something horsepower. These things are super weak, and the only way they make this Humvee strong is through gear reducer. So they reduce their transmission, and then each one of the wheels has its own gear reduction, and that's how they get their torque to climb the hills and do what they do. Problem is, you can't drive 55 miles an hour. So that's another issue with these Humvees, that they're extremely slow. So when you go out on the street, now you can register in the state of Florida and Texas and some other state. You can register and drive it, but they recommend that you drive off highway. So there's another factor that you need to factor in when you buy one of these things. And of course, these things are poorly insulated, and I don't think any of them actually have AC. So if you live in Texas or somewhere that's extremely hot, or you live up in New York or whatever, it's so cold. These things are just like, it's an outdoor vehicle. So you have to deal with the fact that you're not going to get any of those conveniences. So there's that. And as far as engine goes, the very typical failure would be the injector, the injector pump actually. The injector pump actually fails very often, and I've looked at a lot of forums because mine failed the same way. They just stop running altogether. So replacing the injector pump is quite a process. I do have a video to show you how to do that in case you want to buy one and you want to fix it up. So this video on that, you can check it out. Now that's another issue with the engine, is the injector pump, and then of course there's like the engine has been abused because it's out on the battlefield. There's a lot of dirt and grimes and things in it. That's gonna take a whole lot of time for you to clean up and get to the point where you want it. Now, this way to deal with this, if you want to add a little extra horsepower, if you take a peek at the truck, right there where I actually added a turbo. Now, it hasn't been fully hooked up yet. This is still a project, but that turbo is going to give me a little bit more horsepower and torque, and so that's what I need. And I have actually 40-inch tires on this truck, so hopefully with a little bit more power and the wheels are bigger, I probably can drive it up to hopefully 65 or 70 miles an hour. Not sure yet, but I'm gonna attempt to drive at higher speed because I want to put this on the highway. So that's something that you can do with your Humvees as well. I've seen guys are very creative on lifting their trucks up or cut off their front fender to allow for bigger wheels. For me, this truck is actually lifted about over a foot, so I have plenty of space for my wheels and things like that. So that's something else that you can do to your truck. Other than that, everything else is really cool. The truck is very unique. You drive on the road, you get a lot of head turns because you're driving a very special vehicle. And so it's I'm not trying to talk you out of buying one. I just want you to know that to be aware that you have to be fairly mechanically inclined to be able to work with these trucks and get them on the road and keep them on the road. The servicing them is another story because all the components are very large, and you really need to manhandle a lot of these. Just so be very careful. The tires are very heavy to get them on and off. All the components are heavy. The gear reducer at the wheel, that whole thing weighs over 100 pounds. So I had to manhandle all of those, get them in and out when I rebuilt the truck. So, but at the end, I'm glad that I started a project and I'm almost there. I'm very excited about getting this thing started and start driving it. So for you guys that trying to get the Humvee, just make sure you're aware of all the issues that it's having. Now, just, I can stand here and talk to you an hour worth of issues that I've been having building this truck, but, those are minor issues. Now, if you decide to buy a truck and you get it and you run into a problem, put in the comments and I'll answer. I'm pretty sure I went through all the problem that you're having getting the truck to this stage. So a lot of lesson learned that I had over probably the past 3-4 years building this truck. Appreciate you guys tuning in to KT Garage. If you like the content, please like and subscribe. Thank you.